I'm going to be just running some music and getting on with my project mainly. But I've got a bunch of pixel art to do, so that's the kind of task list today. I'm going to be working on this list of new pixel art assets. I'm also going to be updating I'm going to be doing some stuff there, just some little tweaks. I'll explain them as I go through, but yeah, I'll occasionally be checking the chat and seeing if anyone's got any questions, but I'm not going to be kind of chatting throughout on this one. Hi, Rap. Let's just put some very chilled out music on, whatever's here, and we'll go from there. So what have I got on my list of stuff that I need to draw today? I've got basically a backlog of pixel art assets to do. Not super gameplay important stuff, but I'm gonna work on those today, I think. And I'll get the boring thing out of the way first, which is to update the overlay that we use for showing the controls. Oh, am I super quiet? There we go. What is that? There we go. I think I'm just mumbling. Is there something I have done with my output that has made the whole thing quieter? That's weird. There we go. Didn't know it was. Thanks. So we've got this vignette in the game now, which is not how the game is gonna finally look, but we needed a pause menu control screen. I'm just going to update the typography on this and then get on with some other stuff. So I'll do the boring graphic design bit and then get into the flow of some pixel art afterwards. So I want this one. Need to find that and upload it to Canva. Because I've got Garamond on it, but I want this specific type of Garamond. That's the one we want. We want the small caps version. Looks a bit piratey. It's like a serif font, but it's a little bit wobbly. Generally don't recommend using all caps too much in games because it makes things harder to read, but when it's single words or like a button, generally okay. Try not to do it as a stylistic choice for like big blocks of text that people need to read. Yeah, so if I had like a big block of story text that I wanted someone to read, I wouldn't use this typeface. But because it's like one word at a time, I think we can get away with it. And my style reference is like... This is kind of the style reference for what we're doing. It's these things. Where's the most... How do you find a retro rulebook that is actually a retro rulebook? This kind of thing is what we're going for with a lot of the graphic design of the menus and stuff. So at the moment, this is not a thing that is going to stay in the full game, because eventually we'll have a controller binding screen, and all of this will be redundant. But because we're just doing a quick alpha, and we want a quick reference point for people to go and see the controls without having to go back to the itch page, I'm putting this into that. I put game pay there. I'm going to look at my last screenshot of this and see if it needs moving around a little bit. Yeah, that'll do for now. So I need to just make sure I download it at the right resolution. It's so weird when you use tools like Canva that are set up as web tools that have a local app, and then the saving function is like, download this. And I'm like, well, I'm making it on my computer. What do you mean? What do you mean download it? Such a strange little thing. Right, we have an overlay sprite here, and I just replace it with that other one. There we go. That should look a bit more in line with the rest of the typography in the game now. That's my most boring thing out of the way for today. I've got a couple of tooling things I'm going to do in the next week or so before we launch the alpha. So one of them is, currently I have every enemy type is just placed in the level and then got rid of if there's, you know, based on a random roll. And what I want to do is, instead of doing that, have like a enemy spawner that can spawn different things. And then I'll link that into our config so that that one spawner has all the information about, you know, how often should I spawn a bat? How often should I spawn a little mushroom guy and stuff like that? And that will be good because then I can have a spawner and I can say, hey, is this spawner on the floor? If it's on the floor, here's what you can spawn. Is this spawner just hanging down from the ceiling? Well, that could be a bat, or it could be some other creature type that we don't have yet that hangs from the ceiling, you know? So I'll start building that. Thanks for the update on the Discord link. Let me just check if that's... Yeah, that link should be up to date. UZZN. That one works for me. I know when it's broken because I get the little poo sign comes up. one of the things I'm going to make today relates a little bit to the sapling room that just came up then, but I didn't pick it. Discord has been really weird lately. Like, sometimes it's because when I set up a new stream, I'm using the information from an old stream, and it just, you know, I've done a bad copy pasta. But this one, I literally generated a new link yesterday. I think maybe it gives you the option to do links that don't run out, but whenever I choose them, they don't seem to work properly. Yeah, it's a link that only works in New Zealand. I've started using those. So I've made this room called the sapling that it grows a taller tree the more green rooms you've built. So we built 4 green rooms this run, so the tree lets you go all the way up there, which is kind of cool. And one of the things on my list of things today is to basically make some more fruit types, and you'll get different fruit types spawn depending on how tall the tree is. Right, so when a tree spawns and it makes these branches, these can spawn on any tree in the game, these little branch platforms, and then sometimes they have a fruit hanging off them. But what I'm going to do is when we spawn one of these branch platforms, we will look down and see how far away it is from the ground, and then if it's further away from the ground, like this one up here, really far away from the ground, then we'll spawn a higher rarity fruit. And we're going to have like different fruits that kind of spawn further up, right? So they'd have a different resale value at the shop. They might be used for other recipes and stuff, and that just plays into the whole sort of procedural puzzle platformer thing of the game that has emerged, which is we're not doing puzzles in the sense of like Animal Well, there's a specific puzzle that I've designed in, but we've got these things that emerge out of the randomness, right? So we're doing roguelike stuff, but instead of it just being like, hey, here's a random room with some stuff to fight in, it's like the way that the level is built as you built it creates these puzzles of, oh, how do I get up there now, kind of thing, which is fun. So yeah, we'll make some fruit for this. We're going to make some new flowers, because at the moment we've just got 2 types of flower, and it looks a bit sad. I need to stop them spawning in caves so much as well, but I haven't worked out a good way of doing that. Currently, they're supposed to not appear if there's stuff above them, but they seem to ignore that rule, so I don't think I implemented that properly. So yeah, we'll make some more flowers. That's kind of cosmetic stuff, but it will have more meaning later on when I make the different flowers kind of do different things. They currently don't, they're just all recognised as a flower, and there's a couple of uses for that. That was satisfying. I like the way the turrets fire now. They were kind of doing stormtrooper aiming before. They would sort of aim for above your head, and it was very clear they weren't aiming to hit you. Now they do aim to hit you, but you can just about outrun them if you're paying attention. Put a flower on the little flower altar. It's got a flower symbol on. Gives me a relic. Whee! The Arboretum is a blue room that basically doubles the functionality of the sapling, so you can get another big fruit tree. Just hanging out here having my lunch like that. The guys on that skyscraper photograph where they're sitting on the girder. Where's the exit? Down there. Can I get down there? Weirdly enough, I think when I eventually make a trailer for this game, I think I'm going to need to show this screen a fair bit, because I think this really sells the idea of what's going on in this game after you've finished playing it for a little bit, and then you go like that. It's like, oh, I made that. Getting a little bit slow here now. Further optimizations to do. But that's alright, that's all to be expected. I've got the relic that lets you just run through pots to smash them, which is fun. What's happened here? It's got built over. Oh, I mean, that's annoying. I haven't had that happen before, but also I can fix that, so... It's because I built the sapling room over it, and the sapling room has a little hill in the middle. But maybe I need to make sure the portal culls anything that is sort of in the top part of it as well. Need to make him have a side-facing talking sprite as well, which we don't have yet. Let's get on with it then. I'll throw a new link on the description. The problem is I can't change the one that's on Twitch, which is annoying. Right. Expire never. Maximum number of uses, no limit. Generate new link. Copy. I know what's happening. I know what's happening. It was going to the wrong channel. Why do they do that? I'm inviting to the server. I'm not inviting to a channel in a server. Okay. That's the thing you need to watch out for then. Let's fix that. We're going to get stream section for a moment while I open up the stream to edit that link. do the last video one as well, because that's obviously not going to the right place. Although we've had a few people join in the last couple of days, so I don't know where that's coming from. Very annoying. There we go. Just going to save the URL on my bookmarks as well. Okay, cool. Right. Flower time. It's flower time. So we've got two types of flowers. We've got a underscore decor underscore flowers, which don't really do anything and are very small. They do one thing, and that is that the goats occasionally eat them. We've got a flower sprout that grows into a flower. And after it grows into a flower, it just becomes a random one of these. And these currently aren't distinguished as separate objects. But maybe one day they will be, because we might go, oh, a sunflower does this and a bluebell does this and stuff. But at the moment, it just randomizes the sprite. So we're going to do a bluebell. We're going to do some snowdrops. We're going to do a marigold. What does a marigold look like? So marigold, it's like a big floofy poof ball. There's a lot of different types of them, actually. This one's good because this is an opportunity to have one that doesn't have the sort of circle in the middle, so we can have one that looks a bit more visually different. This looks like it needs to just be like my spore balls, though. So we're gonna do a hack. This one's probably too big, but I've got a little trick for that. That looks actually perfect. I don't want it to look exactly like it. I mean, I can rotate it and stuff, but that's not going to help because the spore balls, I think, are rotated when they're spawned. What I can do, if we want to keep that texture and not have to draw it all again from scratch, is by making a new layer for it, pop it in there, and then do some squashing with it so that it's not exactly the same. So we get the benefit of reusing that texture, but we don't have to draw the whole thing from scratch. But and then we're going to do some swappies on these. should zoom out really and see what it looks like. Don't like those yellow bits, they're too bright. Let's do a pale orange for those instead. And now there's lots of these darker bits in the middle that don't look good either. I could not tell you why. It is 100% vibe based. I appreciate it, Tokra, but also there will be plenty of people out there that don't think this looks good. So a lot of it's a matter of taste, and developing a style for something is just about coming up with a set of rules for it. So I have a set of rules for how I do this art. I don't always follow it, but it makes it a lot quicker. Most of the time it gets something different, get something halfway decent, and when it doesn't I'll just come back again and do it again later, just like refactoring code, you know. But letting go of the idea of getting the thing right the first time and just accepting that you're gonna have to redo it multiple times is half the struggle, you know. You obviously you want to get good enough to get things right the first time, but always gonna need to redo some stuff. Right, we want one of these bad boys. So here we want like a... That's the most bell-shaped bluebell I've ever seen. It has like a, up the top where they're all closed, it looks like a sort of artichoke type thing before they... So they grow at the top in the artichoke type shape thing, and then as the plant grows up they descend and fold down. So the whole thing is constantly unfolding into lots of these smaller flowers, which is really, really cool. And that's the most attention I've ever paid to bluebells and how they work. Now we'll just... Oh, didn't mean to delete the layer, I just want to delete what's on it. Right, this one I'm just going to give the leaves a little bit of a tweak as well, so that they're not the same on every flower. Right, so I want a kind of slightly purpley blue, like that. That's a bluebell kind of blue, and then we want a bell shape. And I'm basically starting with like normal real-world flowers, because loads of stuff in this game is really weird, and I thought it would be nice and anchoring to have something in the game that wasn't really strange and alien. So I thought, considering as the flowers are supposed to be a nice thing, why not just let them be a kind of point of familiarity of something that where players are just going to see something and go, yeah, oh, I know what that is, you know. Because so much of the stuff in this game is just deliberately weird or dark or gross in some way. So I'm not going to outline this until we've got a few on there, because I don't want them to get totally crowded by the outline. So maybe we do a sort of zigzaggy Christmas tree type arrangement of these. And then generally speaking it looks like they get smaller at the top based on my reference picture. So we chop that bit off and make one little smaller one up here. Maybe I put it on the wrong layer. We can fix that though, I think. Why are you doing this to me? There we go. Maybe one more little tiny one at the top, like that. That's near enough. I feel like that gives enough of a clue as to what sort of thing it is. And then we go back to my reference. So it literally, from what I can see in this photo, it just goes all the way up straight. There's not, there are tiny little sub branches that go to the flowers, but they're so small that in our version we wouldn't see them. They would almost appear like they're floating. So I'm going to just extend the stalk up. Maybe we'll put these under here, so there's a kind of impression of stuff coming out and the flowers growing off it. And then we'll extend the stalk all the way up to the top. And there we go. Don't like how these centerpieces are getting this weird bright green glow on them, so I'm going to just smudge them out a little bit here. Look a bit Lego-y and plasticky, which is not bad, but a bit more organic. Maybe we can dirty this color up a little bit in places. Right, and now I can put some borders on these, but I'm not going to do it on every single bit. I'm just going to do it in the bits that break the outline. And I use this sort of deeper blue. Very rare that I use black outlines anywhere in this project at the moment, unless it's something where it's like there's a really important, hey, look at this type contrast reason for doing it. I think the main character still has black outlines. And some of the background textures. Again, it's just working out what that little rule book is for your own art style, so that when you're doing stuff you can do it quickly because you have internalized your own little set of rules about how you're doing the thing. And that's why in art classes they get you to do master studies where you copy someone else's work. It's not just to get good in the hands, it's to get good in the brain of like understanding, you know, oh, they did this thing this way to achieve that thing, you know, understanding the intentionality part of it. I'm just going to get a deeper one of these colors and use that to suggest there are some other bits back here. It looks like a bit of an alien bluebell, but oh yeah, I'll always come back and like tweak the assets. But the thing is, if I decide, oh, I want this all to be done to the standard of like a particular brand of 90s Nintendo pixel art or something, then the project takes me away from, you know, making a game with a workflow that I can do consistently and quickly towards a totally different type of project, you know. I don't like how bright this yellow is. I think I need to just if I was going to get someone else to do an art pass on this, I would not be getting them to focus on the static world objects. I'd be getting them to redo the main character and like things that are animated and things that are characterful. I use GIMP for doing things I would use for Photoshop for. I don't use Aseprite for anything. Although that might be a question for Alex. I use Resprite when I need to do bigger sprite work on a tablet, which the reason I like Resprite is it has a bunch of really good built-in textures for like quickly doing brickwork and stuff like that, which I find really helpful. I'm going to leave those at that now because I think that should at least give us some variety. Let me just see if that's how, when this spawns, how does this work? Huh. Oh, so the object flower isn't even... Oh no, it's just the sprite is set by the sprout, which doesn't make sense. I think it needs to be set in the flower when the flower is created. Oh yeah, no, I do have... Okay, that's where we randomize the sprite. Cool, so everything is in place for that. I mean, what I could do... I'll do it quickly now because I think this will... Just do a little bit of internal variety so that we've got less repetition when they randomly spawn. Do you think early introduction to programming can make kids think more sensically? Is that a word? Sensically a word? Yes, but you could also get them to do the same thing by just treating, you know, getting them to learn formal logic, right? Because the reason most people struggle with, you know, like someone who's non-technical who then suddenly when they're a teenager decides they want to make games and then starts programming, that type of person, the reason they always struggle with that is often down to the formal logic part rather than specifically understanding a game, a programming language, you know. Make 2 versions of each of these. And then if we want to later, we can make an individual object for each plant, and then we can have randomized between the different sprites for that flower. So I have like a couple of pillars, and one of them is like trying to make the world feel alive so that the more of it you build, the more it feels like it comes alive. But then I'm also trying to make sure that everything has a purpose. So at the moment flowers do have a purpose, but there's no distinguishing between them. And eventually it would be nice to distinguish between them, because then you can have like a super rare flower that is used in a particular recipe or whatever. Let's grow some flowers. So the way these guys work is... Will we see any here? Can't see any. Oh, there's one. They're very dark and dim when they first start. You can barely see them. There's one there. There's one over here. And then every time we build a new room, it does a roll to see if any of these goes to the next growth stage. There's 3 growth stages, and there's like a 1 in 3 chance of them progressing for each room you build. So these guys are now going to check and see if they should grow. They haven't grown. I might have made it even slower than 1 in 3 actually. And then if you find a poop and you throw a poop at them, then they grow immediately. Just like flowers in real life. That's alright, C64, I appreciate it. Thank you for joining in. I really like the safes. I feel like I need to eventually add more objects like that. I really like the whole, you know, just there's a thing that can spawn in the wall anywhere that does this particular thing, and then you're presented with, okay, how do I resolve that now? So we have safes that you have to blow up with a bomb. You can also use the little mushroom guys as a bomb, because they take out a few blocks when they detonate, so you can use them to crack safes, which is a fun little advanced strategy. Well, that's going to blow up the treasure. Ah! And then that happens. Oh look, bluebell's grown. The fairy decided to yeet the bluebell down into the void, because that's what the fairies are like. They're mischievous. Thanks for the tip, Cosmin. Here we go. So there's a sneaky tip here. These altars require a particular object, but some objects are wild and can be used on any altar, which is why it's helpful to find some trash bags. Will you buy my flower, Mr. Gnome? You don't buy flowers. Okay. I thought you did. I thought I'd set that up. This one doesn't really look like a flower. I think if you saw that out of context, you might be like, what is that? Why don't you want my marigold? My sweet, sweet marigold. A thing I've been meaning to trial as well is letting you just do a little Mario bomb on top of the enemies' heads. Because I don't want this to be like a super hardcore Rogue Legacy type platform brawler. So I think just being able to boink on them, on the enemies, is gonna... No, you can only open rooms left to right, but you can deliberately pick rooms that go up and down in order to sort of manipulate the direction you're traveling in. Which is kind of a fun little puzzle, because it gives some... Like, the rooms get a different contextual value depending on... Like, what's going on here with all of this What's this? Just some particles that nobody asked for there. So yeah, you might have a room that you don't usually need or like, but you will put it down in a particular situation because it allows you to kind of climb up somewhere or... You can always pitch an idea. Ah, balloon. I love it when the balloon works. Like it just sort of luck out and you can get out of a... You go down too far, you get stuck, you find a balloon, you go wee back up to the top. Like, yeah. It's a little bit fast still, that balloon, but I kind of like that it makes it a bit unwieldy. See, that's the sapling we built earlier, but if you build it when you've only got one green room, it's just a little stubby thing. I do like the idea of I think that's a pretty good idea, C64. So there's the way the trees work at the moment is that there's like a normal tree and it just starts off as a little block here, and then when the room is built, that block grows up and then does branches. And then there's a special instance of it for these saplings where there's 4 hidden blocks up here, and then they grow up and out to try and make it kind of have the shape of a big tree. So I think the idea of a seed that lets you grow some sort of big beanstalk thing is a good fit. And I think the fantasy side of this game is supposed to be more leaning towards sort of Grimm's fairy tales. So Jack and the Beanstalk is totally in the right wheelhouse. That's kind of what the trees looked like in the very first version of this when I was doodling them. They looked like weird beanstalks. I mean, there isn't really an objective. It's a run-based score game at the moment. There will eventually be an end goal. But I think when you're making a run-based score type game like Noita or Spelunky, it's not really where you start, you know? People are going to be playing the thing and failing it so many times. You need to focus on the bit that they're playing and failing so many times. That's why it took so long for them to add an end to Minecraft, and when they did, they made a joke out of it and called everything the end this and Endermen and stuff. And eventually we will have more stuff in the starting void to build out to, but there's something there to test that idea, but there's not a lot of it because that would be more of a mid-game thing, and we're not there yet. See, that would be a great place to be able to boink on the bats. I'm going to put that in now, even though we're supposed to be doing art. Right, I'm going to just commit my art tweaks. Art tweaks. Updated. Control overlay, import menu, more flower variety. You just search for some good stuff, yeah, and then there's like a series of puzzles to do with how the environment works that you have to learn, which is, I mean, that's what a roguelike is really. People tend to be using roguelike just to describe any game that's got randomized runs, but to me a roguelike is sort of defined by having this big web of objects and interactions and having to learn that stuff. Yeah, the rooms are made by hand. They have some minor programmatic stuff that happens in them. And, yeah. So I have this combatant script that I am going to completely scrap eventually, because I'm going to make a new... Because this is terrible. This is really bad. And I know that. But eventually I'm going to make a new type of object called a creature, and I'm going to make all of the other enemies a sort of child of that. So we're going to do boink on head. So that is to see if the character is getting hit by something. Oh, this isn't good, but let's just do it this way for now. I think that's all I need for this, actually. And then the priority is that one, isn't it? Yeah. Let's see if that works. It's probably going to hurt the player at the same time. Yeah, I don't think this is a quick job for me. It's the sort of thing I probably need to come back to later and spend more time on. Oh, hello. He got eaten before I could jump on it. I mean, it kind of has a delay before it goes from being hurt to The problem is I'm not really communicating when the character's invulnerability, when the player character's invulnerability frames are up or not, which makes it hard to tell whether you can jump on the thing or not. I suppose the other way of doing it would be to put a hurt box. Yeah, the iframes aren't very clear. Even if I just have it so you go a little bit transparent when they're on. The other way of doing what I'm trying to do is make sure that the player just spawns a little hitbox on their feet when they're jumping, and then that will let you jump on vases and stuff. So instead of doing it this way, no dash. Combat Metroidvanias are not the reference point here. Like Spelunky and Trad Mario are the reference point here, which is why we've got the focus on picking up objects and throwing them around and item manipulation rather than combat mechanics, because dash in those games generally is a combat mechanic. Okay, just make the hurters visible. Maybe there is an easier way of doing this, because the way that the punch works is it just spawns one of these hurters, which is like a little round. I mean, this is trying to get the Mario bump on the head thing is kind of keeping in line with one of the things in this project, which is the character controls should just be as close to Spelunky as we can get them, because the rest of the game is very weird in terms of how like the puzzles and the content work. So we want the core movement and the player controller to just be as close to a established game in the same genre as possible, so people can spend their mental effort on learning all of the weird stuff in the game. Okay, so this is the way the punch works. We check all of these different control versions and we say, oh, if the player's jumping and they press down and punch, then do this sprite and put the hurter here. Yeah, when I first started this, the rooms were like about 4 times smaller than they currently are. I've already scaled the rooms up quite a lot to make them be platform level rooms rather than just random rooms that you go and stand in, you know. Okay, so this is the hurter that we create for a punch, and it has its own impact sound and impact particle, which I don't think actually does anything. And then so we want to do all of this again, but we want to do this when you're falling. So if v speed is greater than 0, we don't want that. We just equals. Sorry, Gleb, I'm doing magic numbers again. Just gonna have to do it at the moment because this whole guy will get probably rewritten at some point. Main character is called Lem. They're a golem. Golem called Lem. And then we want this in the same place. So a flirt is like a little invisible force impulse. Now there's a chance that this is going to mess us up because the force impulse is going to keep us up in the air, and it will be like having jet boots. Yep, there we go. Here we go. What's going on here? But we don't need that. We don't need that. Immune instance itself, that is going to stop the hurt from hurting the player, but it's not going to stop the force thing from happening. So the problem is that this isn't really set up to do this. So when the hurter hurts the enemy, it will do something, but we won't like bounce off the top of it or anything. So what we'd have to do is check if there's actually something there, and then if there is, then create this part, which is... I think the way that I was doing it before was better. Yeah, okay. I'm going to get rid of that for now. I'll come back to it later. I think we do need that though. It's such a combat light game, and I think being able to jump on their heads, it makes the game easier in a way because you have more tools to deal with stuff, but it also means you can do kind of more crazy skill stuff, like, you know, use that bat to jump across that hole and stuff, which is gonna feel good if we can do that. Okay, let's have a look at what else is on the list. So new pixel assets: flower, bluebell, snowdrop, marigold. I'm going to tick violet, but I'm not going to do them today. We want 2 new fruits which are going to spawn, basically, that when we spawn a branch, the further away it is from the ground, it will have a chance to do one of these fruits. The moon fruit is just going to be a banana, I warn you. We're just going to make a banana grow in a mighty ancient oak tree because we can. So I probably need to start renaming these things at some point, because we now don't just have a fruit, but we're going to have a banana sprite and a starfruit sprite. But we're going to call it a moon fruit in the lore of the game, because it's because we can. And because a banana looks like a moon. It's a pretty decent banana. Okay. Yeah, I think I just had a lot of cutouts on that stream earlier in the week, so I had one that didn't save properly, which is annoying. Yeah, the moon fruit is a banana. It's obvious, isn't it? How else are we going to get a banana in our sort of weird post-apocalyptic Grimm's fairy tales game if we don't make it into a moon fruit? It's better. Yeah, the workflow of needing to go to a different program to make art is just I'm a fast and messy person that likes to be able to switch between the different things, and Game Maker is very well set up for that. I know I'm pillow shading this a little bit, so I'm going to just gradually take away the shading that I did at the top because it's looking sort of like it's got a 360 pillow shade on it, and I don't really want that. I just want a little bit of three-dimensional. There, that's better. That's much closer. And then I tend to try and do warmer shading on objects that are supposed to look desirable. So I usually shade with a color. Don't usually use black for shadows. If it's like something that's supposed to look golden or inviting in some way, then using the warm color shading is even more important. Right, Sprite banana, not updated in the asset tree, but we got a banana. $150 gigs. I would love to make an ImSim one day, but yeah, I probably wouldn't make it in... I mean, this is kind of an ImSim. You can set things on fire. Everything is interactive. It's about as close as to an ImSim platformer as you can get, I guess. Oh. Now, what does a star fruit actually look like? And do we want the star fruit to look like a star fruit, or do we just want it to be a star? I mean, that's kind of cute. So it's only got a star cross section. You can feed the weird monster mouth, yeah. So we want this kind of lime green, white at the center, maybe these pips. I do quite like that. I don't think we would draw the whole fruit because we do want it to look like a star. I think this is maybe the best rendering because it's kind of orange and... Star fruit from Kingdom Hearts. Interesting. Is it up the top there? Is it one of these? That's cute. It's got a little leaf on top. I mean, that is just like a kind of classic Mario star. But you know it's a fruit because it's got a leaf. That's pretty good. We went somewhere in between that. The Plants vs. Zombies one is quite good. I like the way that they've shaded it out to the points, so it's sort of neither yellow nor orange, so you're kind of getting the vibe of this one, but it has a gradient. And then I think, like the banana, the moon fruit can be the lower tier one, and the star fruit can be the higher tier one. So if you build a really big sapling, the thing that's great about the sapling is you get the reward. You build all the green rooms, and you get the reward of the really tall sapling, and then... But then you have to platform up to get the things, and if you fall down, you die. So that's a fun. And while we're here, actually, I'm going to go back to this one and just... This is so old. This is such an old sprite that I haven't done this yet. We do need quite a dark colour because the purple is dark, but I just don't want pure black. There we go, and starfruit time. So I do like that idea of keeping a little space up the top for a little bit of a leaf, and that's kind of consistent because our berries, our grapes have that as well. They have some sort of hanging on thing. Yeah, but Magni, if I don't make a game, then people will just constantly be going, how do you know anything about making a game? In that voice, that's how they'll say it. But there's the heart of the star. Maybe we're going to need to do sort of rounded points on the star, like that kind of thing. this is going to probably take a couple of tries. I think it's not going to be an easy one. If it fails, I won't care. Have you seen that, I'm not going to reference him right now. It's looking a bit long. The long star. Damn you stars, why are you so awkward? I think the arms, if you will, need to come out a bit. Heard someone recently say to treat pixel art like you're doing sculpture rather than drawing, and that makes a lot of sense. I think it does need something in those bits. That's not bad. Top half working for me. Looking a little bit skinny at the bottom. Maybe it's just not chunky enough. Failure does teach you heaps, but Magni is right, because the primary audience for YouTube game dev content is does tend to think about things in a particular way. But the claim of this channel was never, hey, I've had a successful indie game, listen to me because I've had a successful indie game, because I haven't. And that's never been core to the sort of claim of this channel or anything like that. The problem is people come in with their expectations from what other YouTubers do, and then they just sort of expect you to operate on the same basis as those people. And I don't operate on the basis that I've got teaching qualifications. I've, you know, been a creative lead on projects where the IP holders or the publishers were willing to spend, you know, $1 million on having something made. Those sorts of things are why I think I can be helpful to people, not the fact that I've made a couple of games that made 10 grand on Steam, you know. But that would be nice as a bonus. You can make that happen. Zoom out a bit here. I'm getting lost in the weeds. Right. Shape looks okay. I quite like that if we put this white bit in the middle, it both looks like the original fruit and it looks like the star is glowing. So that feels good. Shape, not quite right, but maybe we can define it with more gradations of the orange. So let's go. I'll go over some of these again in a minute, but I'm just trying to... Right. Yeah, it is important for us to share what we think. The problem is, if you are running a channel, everyone assumes that everything you say on that channel is advice rather than just a perspective. And it's taken me a while to learn that, because that's not really how I engage with other people's content. You know, like, I think maybe squaring the bottom off like that works better. I'm going to do that. You know, when I watch someone like Tim Kaine, who is immensely experienced, more so than me, I watch him because I'm interested in his perspectives. I'm not trying to find out how to do something, you know? So even if I disagree with something, it usually doesn't really bother me that much, whereas the people that are a bit more junior and watch game dev content on here often want everything to be like an actionable, what should I do? And it's like, the whole point of making stuff is that you get to be in charge of making the stuff. Like, if you want someone to tell you what to do, get a job. Or do the middle ground, which is what you should be doing in game dev anyway. Make a thing, show it to people, see what they say, and then use that to tell you what to do, which is like, that's just good design practice. That's what you should do anyway. Have a vision and then use feedback as well, and then find the middle ground between what you want to do and what people like. You know, like if 1 million people pester me to put a dash in this game, I'd probably be stupid not to. I'd be very, very reluctant to put a dash in this game because I think it's totally inappropriate, but I also like money and people not yelling at me. I know that's controversial. So I'm going to make these as their own objects, because that's going to make it easier to fit into some other systems in the game. So, oh, that's not supposed to be a sprite. What am I doing? I want to make a new object. Okay. Much fruitier. I'm not sure. I think the banana looks alright. I'm not sure about the star fruit, but what I'm banking on is by the time players see one, they'll be so enthralled with the fact that they got a new thing that they won't care if it looks bad. It's kind of like a Kinder Egg, you know? Are Kinder Eggs a global phenomenon? Does everyone know about Kinder Eggs? Kinder Surprise? It's like a not very good piece of chocolate with some plastic crap in. But somehow, because the not very good chocolate has some plastic crap in, you think the chocolate's good. And because the plastic crap is inside some chocolate, you think the toy is good. It's fascinating. I'm gonna actually coin a term for that now. So if you manage to make a game where you put two things together and it ends up better than the sum of its parts, somehow, that combination of things is called the Kinder Surprise effect. That's the scientific name for that now. Yeah, Juan, I really like the sprite editor here. I love the fact I can make a sprite, forget about it, and then come back later and it's still got layers in and stuff. I'm like, oh, and it's right here in the engine. I understand why people who are better at this than me want to use more versatile tools and stuff, but right, so let me just look at the fruit spawning stuff. How do we spawn a fruit? Here we go. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. Chance for any branch. Right, chance to spawn. So normally treasure jars don't spawn in green rooms, but if we have a tree and we have the green pots relic, a pot, if you have then they can spawn up on trees, on branches, which is fun. Again, gives you a reason to platform around, climb up in the trees. Chance for any branch to have a fruit hanging from it. I did used to have an axe object. I couldn't get it to like fly through the air in a satisfying way, but I think if I ever introduce this, you'll be able to like throw an axe up, chop the branch, get the fruit down. The problem is the axe is usually going to destroy the fruit because the fruit is squishy. Right, so we have a 40% chance to grow a fruit off of the bottom of a branch. We first pick a random fruit and we say it can be this, 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 or this. And then here we need to say, oh, if the branch is higher off the ground, then add a chance to spawn a special fruit. Pick a basic fruit type first. Right, so so Spoon, the music is all stuff from the Epidemic Sound Library, which I use for my videos. Some of it's not clear, so it should be cleared for doing streams. Sometimes it gets tagged anyway, but to be honest, the volume of viewers we get on the streams is not big enough for it to really make a difference, because if I put a stream up and it gets 1,000 views, that stream makes me less than $1. So I just don't care most of the time. But yeah, the last few times I've used this have not got stricken, because I do have a license to... Oh no, that's sorry. That's why it is. So when you sign up for a service like the Epidemic Sound Library, they ask you to tag your channel, and then they ignore claims on their stuff that come through that channel, right? So if you used music from that library in your game and then a streamer streamed that music, it would get tagged as being, oh, it's by this composer. And that's happened to me a lot in the past. And it was often like that composer has their music in various libraries and stuff, so it does get tagged by the system. But because I've got my own license to the library, anything that gets flagged for the owners through this route will now just automatically be whitelisted because of the syncing of the accounts between my YouTube and the library, which is cool. Hope that continues to work. Okay. So what I want to do, I need to puzzle this through a little bit to get these working. So we want to measure down from the branch. So we'll check if there's anything there. That's funny, I have a sprite called Heartbreak. I think that works. So we check if there's no soil below the thing. We will increment the chance of a special fruit. And then it will do this over and over again for every tile beneath. And we only want to do this when I is above a certain point as well, so that we don't get them in the early stages. So honestly, that's why I do it, Seamus. If I put grown-up clothes on before I stream or before I go out the house, I just feel so much better. It's just like an instant +2 to mental health. Right, so we're gonna go var special fruit chance equals 0. And we'll do this for 60 tiles and no more. And we measure down from where the branch is. We see if there's a soil there. If there's not, we add. And I'm going to make it a big amount now, but I will change this later on and put it, you know, we'll have this in our balancing configs. This might be like 3%, but I'll make it a larger number for now, just so we've got a better chance of seeing it. And then we'll go, okay, if I random 100, if special fruit chance is greater than, it's greater than I random 100, then we change type here. And I'm just going to change this to fruit type. And instead of having to do loads of different randomness to work out how high up we are, I'm just going to make it the same logic as before, but we'll go banana 3 times starfruit 1 time. So you can get a starfruit further down for now, but the higher you build it, the more chance you've got of getting more of these, and that means that you'll have more of those 1 in 4 chances of getting that. And then that should do everything the same. It does instance attached to, remember that it's attached to the branch, which means if the branch gets destroyed, it falls down. It does fix to wall to make sure that physics doesn't act on this object until it's like picked up or interacted with in some other way, so you'd have to jump up and get it. Let's see if that works. I think everything I've done there should make sense. So we pick a basic fruit type. There's a starting special fruit type of this. Increase the chance of special fruit the further we are from the ground. Right, and then we do this for loop, which breaks as soon as there's a soil object. And no, right, that's going to break there, so we don't actually want that. So else, right, we'll do because we don't want it to break just because this number is too low, because that's gonna just never produce anything that we need. I love a floral shirt. I feel like I think floral or Hawaiian print shirts are basically the closest thing there is to a game design uniform. Go into a studio, that's how you know who the game designers are. All got Hawaiian shirts on. It's the rules. We do have all the blue rooms shuffled in at the moment, which means we might get an arboretum. I keep forgetting how to say that word, which is like a secondary sapling, so we can test this in 2 different places. But the trees are going to be taller the more green rooms we build first. Don't you ever wake up in the morning and think, I really want to punch a carrot? These vines are pointless. They don't do anything yet. Just pointless vine. Here we go. Sapling with 4 green rooms. So, variable set failed. Image X scale read only variable. That's not happened before. But it was the sapling grower, which is the little object I used to... No. Right, it's this branch direction. Branch direction, choose that. We've set branch direction up there. Branch is that object. That should be okay to set the image X scale on. It's weird. This is not consistently happening because the last time I built a sapling, it worked. Bite me. Why don't I have donation goals? Honestly, admin. Maybe one day. I think my life doesn't really have a shape at the moment where it's possible for me to do long streams. So I feel like doing anything that fits in the normal kind of endurance streaming model doesn't fit very well. But maybe at some point I'll start doing that kind of thing, but I mean, I feel like half of the people here are in our Discord and are already supporting the channel through Patreon anyway, so there's that as well. There's like, how does what you do on one platform fit with the others? A little bit of that. I like doing the streaming because the audience is just way more sociable. And you're kind of people that want to hang out rather than people that want to find a YouTube video of someone they've never heard of before and go, well, actually, you use this word in a way that I'm unfamiliar with. Did you know that you are in fact incorrect about the thing that you've been doing professionally for 10 years and I've never done professionally? Did you know that? I think you'll find. Yeah, it's good that some people want to give me even more money, but maybe I'll use that at some point. Look, we got our first starfruit, our first in-engine starfruit. There we go. Look at him go. Oh, should make some tropical juice. Well, I'm gonna. So I've been looking into doing one-off service type stuff through Patreon. It's not really set up for it. You can sell files and docs. You can basically sell anything you could do on itch in Patreon, and you can sort of have it open to the public, or you can say, oh, you've only got access to these services if you're already in, you know, a supporter and stuff. I'm gonna do something called hyper consulting, which is basically just giving video feedback for half an hour without it being public or anything, you know, like private video feedback. I'm going to start doing that, and some other things. But I think the way Patreon works, I might have to do them as tickets. So it's like you buy a ticket for that in a particular month, and then I mean, I've only really just started properly remembering to do any sort of call to actions on my channel about supporting it. Not very good at remembering to do that. So let's have a look at our debug stuff. What can we do here? Just take some stuff out of the deck that we don't want right now. Leave the Arboretum because that lets us test this. So an object I haven't added to the game yet but I want to do soon is a way of getting extra green cards. Because I think part of the sell of this game is you can avoid a lot of the monsters if you just build in that particular way. So if you want it to be more of a cozy game, you can have whole runs of the game where you don't really have to fight anything because of how you pick the rooms. So I want some tools to enable that even more, so if you do a particular thing you get all of the green rooms again. I created the item for it. It's like a little holy seed, which is probably just because I'd spent an entire week trying to kill that massive sunflower in Elden Ring. Here we go. Right, I'm going to put the sapling there. This is an interesting test scenario because the sapling's going to grow up and out. It's got 2 branches that go each direction, and some of them are going to go into that bit of dungeon that's already there, and the other 2 are going to go out that way. So, and it should be reasonably big because it's our 6th green room. So, yeah, look at that. Well, that one's not got a branch for some reason, but and then it really does get quite precision platformery up there, because if you're messing around up here and you fall down, you're gonna... That's an interesting sound effect. I mean, maybe we could have some sort of power-up that just takes all of the red rooms out of your deck, rather than adding more green rooms, or both of those things would be fun. I've only really just started to scratch the surface of like the deck manipulation mechanics that this game could have, and now we've got, you know, because Gleb has been working away in the back end of this game doing loads of tooling and adding in debug stuff like this. It's just going to be quicker to iterate on now, which means that we'll be able to do more variations in the rules and the content, which you need in any game that's sort of based on some sort of deck building. You need a way to easily kind of change what's in the deck, what the different things do. Right, no sapling yet. There we go. That's a... I bet they have purple bits when I blow them up, because I didn't do anything with their... I don't think... Maybe I can't blow them up. They don't have a... They're not punchable. That little puff you see coming out of the altar is like the error message to let you know that you've put the wrong thing on it. Should go red, really. Make the altar symbol go red. I also don't have a thing where items can trigger this. That would be quite fun. You could drop an item on there and it would bounce up and down. Right, so I'm just going to tie the 2 new fruits, the star fruit and the banana, into the So I'm a little bit skeptical that we've got 3 star fruits when it's supposed to be the rarer one. Let me just check what's going on there. I know it's probably just random is randoming, but let me just check I haven't done something really stupid. No, we just need to make the starfruit rarer, I think. Or my banana object has... Yes, there we go. That's it. Got the wrong sprite on it. They had their sprites swapped. So we'll go back to the branch and put it back to that 1 in 4, I think. Yeah, having some concept of like a sticky mark that could be generated in different ways would be good. I like that. Okay, so we're going to lower this now. And then I'm gonna go to the data where we set up the food stuff. Here we go. So we've got banana, object, banana. Should be worth this. So the crystal value is how many crystals you get if you bring it back to the castle. I'm going to make those 15 because you only get this crystal amount once. Coin value... more than milk, because milk is relatively easy to get. The gnome likes them, the hunter doesn't like them, the wizard wants them, and it gives you 2 HP. Okay, and then I'll do the same with starfruit. And the banana's proper name should be moonfruit, because we decided that's what they're called in this world, because it looks like a moon and it's up in the sky. I feel like a moon should be superior to a star, really, but hey. I feel like the players are going to see the star and then they'll know that that's important because it's shaped like a yellow Mario star, and that will make them think, oh, that's an important thing. Starfruit, let's do 50 crystals for that for now. I'll make these big increments so that you can feel the difference. It's not necessarily right for actual balancing, but it might be right for testing. Yep, those do stuff. Just gonna take a look at they do have a debris thing there. They should be blow-upable, but they're not. Sunfruit, yeah. Fruit improvements. New fruits grown from an epic sapling. Fruits can be sold or wizard gifts. Some trees growing indoors there. Classic tree behavior. Gonna just beat up a goat and sell it to the meat maiden. That's video games. That's video games right there. Oh, I wonder if I can I jump up there and then open that door that way? I can. Wonderful. Doesn't benefit me in any way, but... All bombs. There we go. Gonna make a some sort of strength tester for that carnival at some point. Oh look, we've made it to the moon. Can I jump from here? Yes. I feel like maybe the moon should be up in the sky rather than over to the right, but... I love the fact that the flowers now sort of feel like basically they change how it feels to backtrack through the level because something has changed since you were last there. All these flowers weren't here when we first came through. Right, I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to finish the run with it. Okay, Arboretum is going to give us a tree. Oh, look at all those bananas. Unfortunately, the merchant is all the way over the other side of the level. So if I wanted to sell these bananas, I would have to carry them all the way over there. So it's making a good case for a teleporter. Some sort of buildable in-level teleporter. Yeah, the larger loop is going to be basically destroying your boss in some way. Because this is a kind of the quest giver is the bad guy type situation, you know, like Portal or Hades. I've got some ideas about how that's going to work, but I'm not set on them yet and I won't reveal them, but... Look at those lovely numbers. I think I need to change those, don't I? So now we can use our crystals to add rooms into the deck, the blue rooms, but we already have the blue rooms, but that's what they would do if you were a mere mortal who wasn't hacking the game. That's how you would get the blue rooms. You start a run, you shuffle them into the deck, you have a slightly different experience now with some temporary upgrades, but they're not like permanently in your deck. Right, I need to log off in a minute because I need to go and print out 1 million documents for the letting agents for our new house. So they can then tell me, this isn't enough, we need more documents. Because that's what they like to do. Oh, I died. Moon fruit, star fruit. I'm going to have a quick go at this in the next 5 minutes, see how quickly we can make a meat golem. I'm not entirely sure what the gameplay functionality of this is yet, but I really want to make a sort of character clone that can do stuff in some way. So I'm just going to see what it looks like just visually. And I'll do it from the walk sprite first. So sprite... meat golem walk, and then we'll put it back out here. I know I need to organize this again, so we'll go meat golem, So I want it so that you can get a... it's gonna look a bit Meat Boy, but... like this kind of thing. Maybe it helps you in some way. Making a game is probably like a game itself. I mean, the way I kind of look at that question is that games sort of fulfill a bunch of natural needs that we have to do certain types of things, right? So if you have very fulfilling, productive hobbies, this is the kind of catch-22 that a lot of developers end up in because they don't play enough games, and then they're like, well, that's not productive. And it's like, well, yeah, but you do need to know how games work to make good ones. So you sort of end up in this weird loop where you don't want to play games because you've got a better thing to do, which is make a game. Very possessed meat golems, I love it. And make these look like they're naked. So I was thinking that the meat maiden might create you one of these, because at the moment there's like a little reward for finishing each shop. Like if you sell enough items to the gnome, he jumps out and goes around and starts mining. That already works. I don't have a similar thing for the meat maiden yet, so I was thinking she could make you this little dude, and then he's kind of like, I guess he's kind of like the mimic tier from Elden Ring. It's just like a little clone of you that follows you around and does stuff. It's naked. It's just me listening to too much Viagra Boys and being like, a man made of meat? That's genius. Look at that, that's a great walk cycle. Look at that. So fast. If I give him a clashing outline like that, dark brown is going to look a little bit more gross. Maybe we want more of a sinewy type colour on the shines. It's not his dead thing will just be the normal meat. So all we need to do actually is give him this sprite. Could it play a strike for some reason rather than attack? Water can freeze, ice is a mineral. That sounds like it's going to be like a rose is a red, violet's a blue type. Yeah, boy. Oh no, they turn into gnomes. Where did I miss one? At the moment they can mine. They shouldn't be able to mine. They should fight stuff. They're made of meat. They should be fighters. But at the moment they're just a clone of the gnome. Look at him sliding along. Can pick him up. They do look sufficiently disgusting. I don't seem to have any vulnerability. I think I need to manually set there. All of the stuff to do with like combat and characters needs to be rewritten at some point. Look at that. We can't get out, we can get out of the level only if we balloon our way up there. They look so shiny because the shines that are on Lem are just like very subtle, but because it's a higher contrast one, they look kind of really wet and gross. It's good. That one turned into a gnome again. They're making a good little effort of trying to jump up there and go somewhere else. They're not even targeting that gold either. It makes it look like they are, but they don't have any AI beyond just like trying to occasionally jump up onto things or over things. They don't have any way of jumping over a 2-thing high. So what I eventually want to do is make a generic creature object that has behaviors for walking around like this, jumping over things, whatever, and then make them all a child of that. But at the moment, everything is just a bespoke goofery. Yeah, the NPCs don't really do much. They're just a bit useless, and you can punch them and they turn back into meat. I mean, what happens if you cook one? If you cook one, it's cooked and then you can eat it. I can't find anything to cook on. We can cook on some... There we go. That's cooked. Delicious. What are the feelings you want to evoke? Sort of like cute creepiness is the just general vibe. So like dumb little character that you sort of want to look after, but also don't feel too bad when he dies because it's just like a little clay dude. And then an environment that is equal parts cute and gross. Look at that. Look, boss, I brought you back. That one's stuck in the floor. I brought you back a steak. I hope you enjoyed it. It was made of a version of me made of meat. That's I don't know why, but that's just how it works. That's terrifying, isn't it? Look at that. It's kind of cool. I mean, if we can give the meat golem a general use, then there could be some fun repercussions of that. Like maybe they die after a certain timer, and you can spawn them in particular ways. You can get a relic that every time you take damage, you spawn one of these, and then that would have implications because they go around like picking up treasure for you or doing something else or. I broke my game. It's too much meat. They need their own meat sprite though, I think, when they yeah, I'm gonna go through that. So there's not much dialogue. There's a couple of randomized things the boss can say, and I need to give myself a task to just go and add a bunch of stuff in there. They don't have full damage. It would be good if they had full damage, so if you do that, they just sort of immediately splat on the ground. And they've currently got the gnome's voice as well, and they should really go, duh, instead of, because the gnome talks like the Minecraft villager. I'm not quite at the stage yet where I can make these guys fight with the monsters, but they should do eventually, I think. They should be like your little helpers. Watch this. Barbecue. This is the ultimate barbecue. Just drop them straight onto there. Yeah, they could have some little drops that come off them. Like maybe when they jump, because like when Lem jumps, Lem does a little cloud. Maybe they could do blood when they do that. Because we've already got the blood effect. A very light kind of cartoon blood blobs. Right, folks, I need to wrap it up for today. I hope you have a good Friday, whatever you're doing with it. Or if it's not Friday where you are, then have a good Tuesday, whatever day it is where you are. I don't know how that works really. And remember, if we've learnt one thing today, it's that you should create a likeness of yourself out of beef. Good luck working on that this weekend. Send me your photos if you're on the Discord. Send a photo